Welcome to the Runna Podcast. I'm Coach Anya, an international marathon runner.
And I'm Coach Ben, and one of the co-founders of Runna.
Each week we'll be deep diving into the world of running, speaking to some inspiring individuals about their running journeys.
Runna is the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. We help hundreds of thousands of people all over the world train for any running goal. And if you want to try out Runna for free, you can try it out using the code Runna Podcast, all one word, to get 2 weeks of free access to the Runna app.
Today on the podcast, we have the amazing Andre Coggins, who's here to tell us about his own running journey from starting out as a track athlete to moving to marathons to building his own running community, Mafia Moves, which is one of the most well-renowned running communities in London for creating a diverse, accessible club for every runner in the city. Let's get into the episode. Hi, Andre. How are you? Nice to have you on the podcast.
I'm all good. Thanks for having me. You know, a huge privilege being here. So thank you.
Amazing. Well, I guess to kick things off, what got you into running on day one?
So I have to admit, I was a naughty child. I used to spend days in detention, and one of my PE teachers came up to me and said, "Andre, I've got an offer for you. I can get you out of detention, but you have to run 1,500 meters." And at the time, I didn't know how far 1,500 meters was, or even what athletics was. But I was like, do you know what? Anything's better than being in detention at the moment. So I said, yes, I'll do it. Long story short, towed the line 1,500 meters in my baggy shorts and a pair of Converse. And I actually won the race. And at the time it was like the borough championships. So I was essentially the borough champion, not knowing what athletics was. But from there I got scouted by my local club, Enfield and Haringey. And yeah, that's what really kickstarted my running journey. But when I sort of rewind, I was always an active child. I could never walk from A to B. I'd always hop, skip, jump. I was that one kid that had the reins, you know, the backpack. I was like attached to, my parent and my sister, and wasn't allowed to run anywhere.
And so did you kind of pursue athletics more seriously after winning that first borough championships?
Yeah, so, growing up where I grew up in North London, you needed something to stick at. Otherwise, you could go down that slippery slope. And athletics was something that I really honed in on. And really dedicated my life towards. So
that was like channeling your energy into good things rather than get the wrong way.
100%. Energy, time, money, like absolutely everything. It was like all my eggs was in that basket.
Cool. The Borough Championships, I've never heard of that. Is it the boroughs of London or against each other?
all schools within the boroughs of the borough you live in. Yeah. So for example, I lived in Enfield borough. So all the schools in Enfield would come together at the track and race it out. So it was pretty cool.
And so you went straight in from this detention, or were there a few kind of qualifying races that you did up?
No, this was straight in.
Wow.
Yeah, I got thrown straight in the deep end. But I was like, that's pretty cool.
And this was just because the teacher basically believed in you and thought you would be the fastest to put you on the start line?
Apparently so.
No, well, you proved him right. And then did you carry on going to detentions after that, or did it help you stay on the straight and narrow?
Still had a few. Yeah. But then I had an exit pass. So I'd say, can't do detention. Sorry, got a race.
Yeah.
I was always my exit pass. Now I've got a race, got a game, and it often worked. The teachers, the PE teachers they were the good cops. They got me out of a lot, so they were good.
And I guess kind of your running's evolved a lot. Now you've done marathons and you've done the other end of the spectrum. What kind of led you down that path on a personal journey?
So for the marathons, it was pretty simple. A lot of people, like as you grow up in the running spaces, a lot of people like to talk about their journeys and how many races they've run. And I always got asked the question, how many marathons have I run? And I said 0. And even half marathons, it was always 0. And I never had any aspirations to run a marathon or a half marathon because I came from a track background. And I just thought that was well out of my reach. But then when lockdown came, I really had a lot of time to think. And I was like, do you know what? I need a reason for me to run a half marathon or a marathon. And that's what really sort of got my thought process started of, why am I doing this? Why am I going to enter myself into 26 miles of pain? And I found a good enough reason.
And what was the reason?
My uncle. So unfortunately, my uncle passed away at 24, just before his 25th birthday, due to cardiac arrest. So he actually passed away on a football pitch. And I didn't actually know that until I had surgery myself. So I went into a pre-assessment, and they talk about your history of your health and stuff like that within your family. And I had the same cardiac issues as my uncle, due to being severely premature. And, you know, in my 25th year, I said, you know what, I want to run a marathon in memory of my uncle. That didn't happen due to lockdown and stuff like that. So I said, you know, when I'm able to run, this is going to be for my uncle. And with my first ever London, my first ever marathon, I actually molded my logo, my community logo to a heart, which sort of symbolized back to my uncle. So yeah, it kept me going.
Wow. And are you fully you kind of mentioned the kind of health issues connected to your uncle personally? Are you kind of healthy and able to run marathons moving forwards, or is there any kind of things you need to be cautious of?
Yeah, there's still quite a lot of things I need to be cautious of. I have 3 scans a year. I've actually got a little heart issue going on at the moment, which is under surveillance, but it doesn't really stop me from trying to be my best. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, you know, my ticker's ticking, and yeah, it'll be good.
And have you changed your love of running, having done this marathon doing it because of your uncle? Has it changed your love of the track, your love of marathon running? Like, where do you want to take your personal running journey?
I feel like it always changes, you know, especially being in a community and having a lot of people around you. Your why or your reason for running does change. Often I run because I want to inspire people from all walks of life. I want to get more people that look like me moving, and especially from where I'm from. So that is my main drive at the moment, is just getting more people moving, whether that is, you know, beginner level, or, you know, to try and break PBs and get into major championships.
Yeah, I guess that leads really nicely on to Mafia Moves. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so Mafia Moves is my running community, started almost 5 years ago in August, and it was essentially formed because I used to travel a lot out of London and to places in London to find these run clubs, because these were the days where there wasn't as many run clubs as there are today. And my mentor said, you know, Andre, I think it's time for you to start your run club. And at the time, I was literally, you probably wouldn't believe me, but I used to do most of my runs either at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning or run down motorways, just because where I lived was not safe. And I used to get worried about being stopped, being hassled, being harassed, and I just tried to avoid everything at all costs. And when I started Mafia Moves, it was going to be a slow burner. You know, I was like, I've never seen anyone in my area run, ever, apart from me. And I was like, if one person comes and joins me, that's great. If 100 people come and join me, there's no different. So I started Mafia Moves just to, you know, create that profile for not just running, but for the area as well, bring that positivity back, and also give opportunities and experiences to people that, you know, my previous crews that I ran with has given me.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think when I think about Mafia Moves, I do think of it as one of the OG like run clubs, and one that massively, you know, gives back to community rather than, well, there are a lot of run clubs, especially like South London and things, which are like amazing. Like getting anyone moving is amazing, but have less of a legacy behind it, I think. How much do you think your way of getting into running through, you know, your school helping you like channel your energy has impacted the way you set up Mafia Moves and the reason behind it?
Do you know what? It has, but I would say my later years has. So I feel like there's a big chunk from school, so college to university, that I've experienced, and I feel like there's a lot of trade-offs that running can give you that life has also given you. So, you know, from disappointment, I've been plagued with disappointment my whole life, you know, trauma of, you know, life, but also trauma from injury, where you have to adapt. You know, I feel like it's too easy to give up, and that goes towards like crew leaders. You know, if you have a lot of issues within your crew, it's too easy to just give up and call it a day and say, right, we're done here. You know, you can go and run with whoever you want, or you can just stick at it, try and find a solution, and just keep moving forward. But I feel like, yeah, my middle years has definitely helped shape Mafia Moves today.
And so are all of the runs free? How does Mafia Moves work as an organization, like practically?
So Mafia Moves is completely free. I will never take money from my community, and that's something that sticks super, super, super close to me, because, you know, there's a lot of barriers to entry for running alone. You know, we say all you need is a pair of trainers, but if you look at going to a track, most tracks cost. There's only one free track in London. You know, clothing, trainers, physio, you know, a lot of these things add up, and it becomes huge barriers, and even races. So with Mafia Moves, I just try to eliminate as much barriers as possible for runners to feel welcome, feel that they can access the resources. So I literally give everything to this community, even if that means I take a little bit of a hit. I've been running for 15 years, and I feel like I've now seen it all. I've seen most of it, and I've gone through a lot, and I feel like if I can help people weave their way around and, you know, not be exposed to some of the things that I've been exposed to, I hopefully will make them have a better experience.
And how big is the group now?
So the group varies. We've had just over 300 people on the roster over the last 4 and a bit years, and week in, week out we have anywhere from sort of 20 to 30 runners. So quite a good amount of numbers. What I really love about Mafia Moves is that I know every single individual that comes through my door. I know when they first ran, when they first joined us, and I know, you know, the races and the progression that they're making week in, week out. So that's the thing I love about the numbers at the moment.
So do you have a proudest moment through, like, literally changing people's lives with Mafia Moves?
Yeah, I've got loads, but I think the one that sticks very, very closely is the London Marathon. So back in 2022, when I ran my first marathon, there was 4 others that joined me. Fast forward a year, there was 18, and then fast forward another year, there was 28. So, and these are normal people, you know, people that never thought they would run marathons, and here they are. They're now part of the 1% club, and that to me is such a huge achievement. Even though, you know, I was there week in, week out, and I have to honestly shout you guys out for the help you guys have given us behind the scenes. You know, I feel like we don't always need to shout about, you know, oh my gosh, I'm working with so-and-so or so-and-so. It's all about the impact that you guys are giving the communities like Mafia Moves, you know, to enable them to succeed, you know. You know, you've given them the resources that have gone such a long way. So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that was for the context there. That was some of the group were training with Runner for that London Marathon this year round.
100%. It gave so much stability and so much guidance. Because, you know, if you can imagine myself, I'm only one coach, and I had 32 start the marathon program, and for Runner to be there as a tool, as a resource, it was so helpful, so helpful. Yeah.
And I guess is the aspiration to have more than 28 finish next year?
Hopefully, we'll see. We will see. You know, if London Marathon sort us out, and if the stars align, most definitely. You know, we've now transitioned, and people are moving on to other marathons and other majors. So we've got Berlin coming up, Chicago coming up, New York coming up, and then even Tokyo we've got some doing. So yeah, it's like the legacy is just continuing, you know.
And so what would you say is the goal and the vision for the community and for the club?
Oh, the goal is just to keep people moving, keep spreading the word of running, keep sharing their journeys, and ultimately getting the younger generations moving. I feel like we've hit the sweet spot, you know, between the ages of 20 to, 40, for example. We've got that unlock, but it's the younger generation. So as young as 3 or 4 years old, you know, introducing them to movement, and then introducing them to running, teaching them to love movement and why they're moving, and almost help them unlearn what they've learned in PE, that running is a chore or is a punishment or can be used to get you out of detentions. It's more, okay, running can be used to, improve your self-esteem, improve your fitness, your physical fitness, your emotional fitness, and also a social skill to allow you to gain confidence, to meet others, to connect, to network. And yeah, I feel like that is what Mafia Moves' overall arching goal is for the next sort of 10 years.
It is fascinating to think that your start to running was because it's almost a form of punishment, and now it's doing probably the light in each of your days, right?
100%.
And how does one inspire that feeling for the younger generation?
By getting on the ground, you need to be the eyes and the ears of your community. Whether you have youngsters in your family, you need to be that driving force. You need to lead by example, is what I'm saying. You know, I've been really fortunate enough that I was a teacher for a couple of years, so I was able to show these kids another side of movement that they've never seen before. You know, you make it fun, you make it enjoyable, you make it exciting, you give them opportunities, you give them experiences, and before you know it, and they don't even know it, that they're actually running. And you have to lead by example. So I dressed up as the Grinch and I ran around the school and I ran a half marathon. At first they were like, what is he doing? And they used to laugh and they were like, oh no, that looks cool. And now I've got kids that I still speak to, you know, whether they see my content on TikTok or they see my content on Instagram, they're still inspired by some of the things I do with running and with movement. So I have kids say, oh, so I ran 10K today. And I'm like, you didn't even run a mile when I was teaching you. But it's just so nice to see that they have, you know, taken some inspiration from what I have taught them and showed them, and they're now inspiring their peers and people in their networks as well.
And so do you think it was the experience that you had with that PE teacher who got you out of detention that inspired you to become a teacher, or what led you to becoming a teacher, especially being the naughty kid?
Do you know what? Subliminally, I knew I could always relate to kids. You know, I feel like I've gone through almost everything under the sun, from, you know, being naughty in class to getting bullied to losing a classmate, you know, at quite a young age, to, you know, having great memories, and putting them all into one nutshell. It's like, I'm no different from them. Kids think teachers are not human, they're robots. But I'm like, no, I'm a human. I like to go out on the weekends. I like to go out with my friends. I like to have a laugh. So why can't I do that in the school environment? There is a thin line that, you know, you don't cross. We have a good joke, we have a laugh, but at the end of the day, we need to be educated. But as long as we're doing that together, we'll have a great time. And that's what the kids really noticed, that I had their backs as well. So I'm not going to be the dictator of I say you do. It's more of a collaborative learning strategy. So yeah, the kids were on great leaps and bounds.
And so when did you leave being a teacher?
So I left being a teacher 3 years ago now. And it wasn't of the fact of, you know, I got fired or it's like I've had enough. An opportunity came up, and I was super grateful, you know, working with a global sportswear brand. And I actually had a chat with one of my students, because he said to me one day, sir, don't take this as offense, but I don't think you should be here. I said, what do you mean I shouldn't be here? He said, you know, I've been following you on Instagram. You love running. And you've got Mafia Moves. The kids loved Mafia Moves. They always tried to buy merch, by the way. And they were like, you know, I feel like you need to be somewhere else to pursue your dreams. And to hear that from a 13-year-old, I was like, wow, it was a big reality check. So when I did get offered the job by the brand, I was swaying, because I said, you know, I love these kids. I love the progress they're making. But at the same time, I've got a dream to chase. So I had some deep thoughts, and I said, you know, kids are always going to need our help, regardless. But why is school stopping me from doing that? You know, regardless of what pattern I make or what journey I make, I can still do that off my own accord. So, you know, I took the job with the brand, and behind the scenes, I was doing a lot of sampling. So I was working with the London Marathon group, with a mini marathon, doing a lot of voluntary work in schools under Mafia Moves, giving taster sessions to movement and well-being, and also mentoring, you know, showing people that there are young people that like to move and want to inspire you to move. And, you know, that was my sort of journey for the 2 years after teaching till where I am now.
I guess so. You never stopped being a teacher. You just did it through Mafia Moves rather than in the school instead.
100%. You know, I've got free reign. I can go into multiple schools now, and I feel like I can make a bigger impact.
Yeah, I guess you were saying that you didn't know anyone back when you were growing up who also ran. How important do you think it is to have like role models? Because I think you are a role model now for these kids, and just showing them what is possible. And I guess that's what the Mafia Moves community does as well. Like, yeah, it inspires them.
100%. Role models are so important, you know. And growing up, I found it difficult to find my role model, because, you know, traditionally role models are either, you know, singers or rappers or sports personalities or, you know, social media personalities. And I always struggled with that. I was like, I can't relate to these people because they're so far gone. They're on the multi-millions, or they're earning great money and they've got the fame and the fortune. And I was just like, I needed someone that was a bit more simple, a bit more down to earth. And that's where I really glued to Corey, to Charlie, to those guys that I could relate to, that were from similar backgrounds of myself, and that were approachable, that I could actually speak to. You can't speak to these celebrities and actually know the ins and outs of how they're truly feeling or how to tackle certain life struggles. I can pick up the phone and speak to one of my mentors, and I can get some good answers and some genuine feedback. And equally so, if I feel like, or if they feel like I'm being led astray or sort of being disingenuous, they'd check me and be like, right, Andre, this is not how you do things, or, you know, this isn't you. And that's what I really, really appreciated with role models. And with the younger generations, I feel like I want to open myself to them, and they can come to me for advice, and I can then check in on them and be like, that's not you. You know, you need to be making these sort of steps to get to that next level. And they will listen, and then they will change, and then, yeah. So hopefully.
Amazing. I guess, like, kind of coming back to your running as well, what are you working towards?
So I'm working towards a big goal, which is obviously completing the world majors. I've now done 5 out of 6. I've got one more left, which is Boston.
Nice.
So I previously had the Boston qualifier, but I'm looking to absolutely smash it again. And yes, I'm working towards that, but I'm also hoping to run quicker in shorter distances, refinding my love with running, and yeah, just having fun with running fast.
So for Boston, for those who don't know, what kind of time do we need to do to qualify?
So the qualifying time is 3 hours, but to comfortably get in, you're looking at a 250 and 253. So I'm hoping to hit the 250 mark next year, and you know, if God is on my side, hopefully go lower than that, which means I need to get to work. So
what's your current best marathon time?
So around 258, which was actually my first marathon.
At London.
That was London. And yeah, just been plagued with injury. There's been a lot going on with life. I'm not going to make excuses because we don't do that with running. Time doesn't discriminate. So yeah, it was just, you know, listening to my body, making the right sacrifices, putting in the right work. So those small little intricate details, you know, getting in the gym, doing the pull work, having a lot of cross training, and essentially, yeah, just making myself a better version so that when I do run the marathon, I'm actually prepared and I can actually perform to the best of my abilities.
Nice. So I guess you need to run a marathon to qualify for Boston. Have you got one that you're thinking about, or you kind of relaxed and taking it easy for now?
I'm relaxing and taking it easy. I'm working on just getting my body right. And then once my body's right, it will know when I need to race. So I'm working with my S&C coaches who are checking in with me regularly. And I've got a big team, big medical team, I'd say. So yeah, they'll let me know when I'm ready, but it's just working my way back up again. So looking at just making myself comfortable with the half marathons, hitting those times that I need to hit comfortably in order to then step up for the marathon.
Nice. And I guess you also said you're thinking about the shorter stuff as well. Is that 5Ks, or is that even shorter and getting onto the track?
I don't think I'll ever get back to the track just due to injuries I've had in the past. It's quite difficult to get that sort of top end speed for track, but definitely 5Ks, definitely 10Ks. That's where my love is. I love to run fast.
I love that, and I can't thank you guys on Mafia Moves enough. In London Marathon, every time I like wait to see you, and I always know you're going to be at like the most painful point of the marathon. And yeah, there's a really good photo of me running through Mafia Moves this year, and I think you guys are just like screaming with like cannons and your megaphones at me, and
you went wild. You went wild. It's actually framed. I should have brought it in.
Yeah, I love that photo so much.
So I guess kind of last serious question before we move on to slightly more lighthearted conversation. Being a coach and inspiring so many people, what would be like the one piece of advice you'd give to someone right at the start of their running journey?
Oh, never be discouraged by the journey when you start your journey. You know, always put one foot in front of the other and reflect on the day before. And then when you reflect on the day before, I want you to work on being better than the next day. And it's just all about marginal gains. A lot of people already have that end goal. It's like, right, I want to run the marathon. Yes, you'll get there, but what are the little steps you need to put in place for you to get to that end goal? And don't beat yourself up. You know, if that goal doesn't happen, what's your plan B? What's your plan C? Because everyone's on a journey, everyone's going to progress at different stages, and you can't compare yourself to anyone else. You have to be in your lane, on your own journey, on your own path.
So don't be discouraged by the scale of the long-term goal. Instead, just win each day as they come.
Definitely.
And you'll get there eventually.
100%.
Absolutely. Well, with that in mind, let's take our way off to Steph, who's going to give us our tip of the week.
My top tip today is on breathing. During our easy runs, our breathing should feel relaxed and steady, as we should be able to chat along as we're going. But during those faster running sessions, our breathing rate is going to increase. If our breaths become quite short and sharp, it makes it harder for the oxygen to get into our muscles, which can then lead to slowing down our performance. Try next time when you feel like your breath is getting shorter, your chest is tightening, to focus on deep, relaxed and even breaths. This will really help the session feel more relaxed.
Thanks for that, Steph. Okay, we're going to go right into debunking some myths. And obviously I have two great coaches next to me. First one that is sent in is, I want to get faster, but I'm just stuck running at the same pace without progressing. What tips can you give me?
So I think this is like a very common thing that most people do probably during at the start of their running, which is probably run pretty hard all the time and don't really see that much improvement. So I would really say slow down. And then also spend some of your time running going faster than that. And it probably sounds crazy to say go faster when you think you're running hard, but if they were doing to walk for a minute and then sprint for a minute and then do that over and over again, you're going to be getting more used to running at a faster pace and essentially doing what we call like an interval session. And then the rest of the time taking it easier so that we're fresh enough to then be able to run at these faster speeds. And gradually over time, our body will adapt to being able to run at these faster speeds, kind of like a sprint or whatever it's going to be. And then over time, we can extend the length of time we're running at these faster paces. And before you know it, you're essentially following a training plan, or you're kind of structuring your training in that way. And as a result, your body will really start to adapt to that. So yeah, I'd really say spend most of your time running slower, and then naturally just try and run faster for just a tiny bit, and gradually build up from there. Would you add anything to that?
Yeah, definitely two things. What I would start off with is drills, getting the fast twitch muscles moving, and getting used to firing the right muscles.
I love watching your drills. You have the music. You have you're so flexible. I need to work on that.
Yeah, I'm trying. And also fartlek training. I feel like it's very underrated, and it's a very noticeable training program that you can actually be like, right, I'm going to jog, and then increase that jog to another level, and you'll be able to notice the two patterns. So over time, you'll be able to definitely increase your speed, and also your top speed as well.
And last debunking dilemma discussion. Our smartwatches give us so much data and so much we can't understand. What do you think are the good, valuable smartwatch features, like sleep tracking, training status, training readiness? Which are most important to you guys?
I mean, I wear my Garmin all the time, every day, and I relatively kind of keep it charged in the daytime, so I can then wear it every night. And I kind of like, by having it on every night, it can measure my HRV, which is kind of a measure of kind of our heart rate variability, which is going to give an indication of whether you're getting ill or whether you're well rested. It gives me my kind of sleep score, how many hours I'm spending in bed. It's not really telling me anything I don't know. Do you mean you wake up and probably the best measure of how well rested you are is how you feel? But I do like having that accountability to it, knowing, no, this week I've actually slept for an average of 6 hours. That's not good enough. I need to be mindful, probably not to push training too hard, or maybe actually now start to prioritize trying to get some more sleep in. So I think it's kind of like the accountability to how much sleep and rest I'm having, rather than like teaching me something new personally. That's probably my most valuable feature. What about yourself?
Yeah, so likewise with yourself, like sleep. So I wear Whoop and Garmin. But I would say heart rate is really, really important, especially for someone like myself who was born with underlying heart condition. So it's a nice indicator, not just to scare you, So I know there are some devices out there that will alert you that if your heart rate is super slow, you may need to seek a medical professional. But it's just nice to be in tune with your heart rate. And also when you're running, you know the zones. So you know your heart rate, your maximum heart rate, your resting heart rate, and you can work out your zones according to your training. So it does definitely help out a little bit more.
What about you, Anya?
I actually, don't pay that much attention to my watch. I'd happily not wear it other than exercising, to be honest. I used to be a bit obsessive over it. I just use it for exercise. Like, I always have my lap pace on. I like actually tracking how each run feels. When you can, on a chorus, you can put like little smiley faces about how moderate or how hard you pushed and how it felt. So it's cool to look back on those.
Well, shall we take ourselves into some this or that?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you both what you'd rather, and you've got to pick. So first up, would you rather never ever be able to enjoy music again, or never ever be able to enjoy food again?
Oh, food. No, let's go music. Yeah.
You sure?
I think so.
Why?
I thought got me now. Actually, definitely food, because I need music in my life. Music is everything. And food, when you become an athlete and you're pretty much eating to train, you don't really enjoy your food anyway.
Yeah.
What about you?
I say food. I hate the bit when I had a really busy day yesterday and I was like, I just need to eat, run. And I didn't enjoy my food at all. I need to enjoy food. I love it.
So you're picking
I don't care about music.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Also, for context, when Anya says she had a busy day yesterday, she ran before work. Then she came and joined us in the office, went on our team run at lunch where we did intervals. And then she went on another run in the afternoon. So yes.
I don't normally do that.
I'm like instantaneously ditching music. I could not live without enjoying my food. But that's probably why I'm a bigger than average runner. Right, next up. Would you rather run a mile naked or a mile in a thick, warm snowsuit?
Oh.
In London. For context, along the river.
Right,
on a sunny day.
Well, I've already done the first one, so I'd have to say...
You've done a mile naked?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Cool. So I went to a very...
And where can everyone watch the footage?
Oh, no. You can't watch the footage. Yeah. Very quick segue. I went to a very sporty university, lost at darts, and that was the forfeit, for a lot of us.
Have you played darts since?
No.
So you're what you're saying is it wasn't that bad, you do it again, or you never want to do that again?
I never want to do it again.
Okay, so you're doing a sunny day mile in a snowsuit.
I think I'd do that, yeah.
Did you win the mile naked?
It was just getting it done. It was on the track as well.
On the track?
Yeah.
Gosh. Wow.
You might be able to guess which uni I went to.
Where did you go?
St Mary's.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, right. What about you, Anya? Are you picking a naked mile or are you picking a snowsuit on a sunny day?
I think naked. I hate being too hot.
Even though you're quite well recognised in London.
Fancy pot?
Yeah, it might help my recognition.
Oh God. Okay, it might not be good for runners' brand. Right. Okay, last one. Would you rather be able to run as much as you like for the rest of your life, but you can only run on the treadmill, or only ever be able to run once a week? So all your running for the rest of your life is on the treadmill, whenever you like. One run
only once a week.
One run per week. You can be as long as you like.
Yeah, only once a week.
Really?
Yeah, more impact. You're not really going to get much impact in the gym because people that are in the gym already want to be there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, even if it's once a week, I'm out there showing up. So, yeah, and I'm plagued with a lot of injury anyway, so once a week is good.
What about you?
Yeah, it's crazy because I do run like every day, but I think I'd choose once a week outdoors. I need that outdoor like space. I've never really thought about it until then.
I mean, I would also choose the once a week outdoors. I could still cycle 10 times a week.
That's true. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to go on to an embarrassing running story that has been sent in, and we'll just give our reactions.
You'll have to think of your most embarrassing story, but now you've told us about the darts, so see if you can think of another one.
Okay.
I was running London Marathon halfway and it was getting rather toasty. I grabbed a drink from the aid station and poured it over my head. Obviously, it wasn't water, but Lucozade. I was an uncomfortable, sticky mess for the entire second half. I had flies stuck to my face in every photo, and my white shorts had a nice yellow tinge, which looked suspiciously like splashback.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, that is not the one.
We've all been there.
There's nothing worse when you've got like the gel
That's
residue on
sticky,
your
yeah.
hands and your fingers are sticking
It's all
together.
gloopy.
Sometimes I'll go through an aid station not even needing water, and I'll take a cup and then like clean my sticky hands from gels or whatever.
That's smart. That is very smart.
Gosh, I feel bad for that listener.
In like triathlons, they have like Coca-Cola at aid stations. They had San Pellegrino sparkling water at Nice.
So normally, I think it's in a full Ironman, they bring out pizza after the 12th hour. So if you're an Ironman or woman who takes over 12 hours, then they bring out pizza on the course as you go through the aid stations on the marathon at the end.
Oh, wow.
You can have yourself some pizza.
That's pretty cool. Might sign up for an Ironman now.
There we are. Wow, there we are. And what about your most embarrassing story, or have we heard it already?
I've got loads.
Oh, there we are. We're going to hear them all, and then we can decide which is the most embarrassing.
Yeah, I'll tell you two. And these ones they're funny now, but they weren't funny at the time. So my first ever national champs, I actually slipped on the track and dislocated my hip.
It's not that funny.
Yeah. But then the funny side, I don't actually remember it. So I woke up in the hospital and I was like, oh, did I finish?
So in.
Didn't finish. But that was quite funny.
And did you make a full recovery?
Yeah, made a full recovery.
Wow.
I was pretty young when I did that, but it's just my carelessness. You know, the metal tracking is just going over and hit pop.
Was the track wet, or you just
No,
misfitted?
not that I remember. Just
Wow.
lost footing, slipped on the metal tracking of the track, and that was it.
That's just really sad. It's not that embarrassing.
But this one's a funny one.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, I actually ruptured my quad about 8 years ago, and going home from the hospital, I was in a straight leg cast, by the way. So leg was completely straight, had metal rods, and I was in the back of a Uber going home. Getting out, got to my destination, and what does the Uber driver do? Open the other door. So I fell backwards out of the Uber because he'd opened the door behind me. So falling out, and he was like, "Are you all right?" So I've literally just come from the hospital, and of course I'm not all right. So I didn't say it in that as many words, but let's just say he got a bit of a barking at. Yeah, but that was pretty funny.
Wow. And the quad was okay after the kind of recovery period?
Yeah, quad's all right. Still got a little lump.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how did you rupture your quad?
Part and parcel of the job, running.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just went on a sprint.
It went twice. So when I initially tore it, I didn't actually know I tore it, and then tore it again when I was out in Fonteremo training. And I definitely knew about that.
Show how much running actually means to you, though, because you've been through a hell of a lot of
I've
injuries.
been through the wars and back.
Keep going.
But this one here, this was like a huge life lesson for me, of just resilience, because I had to learn how to walk again, had to learn how to jog again, and it was so hard. I felt like a different person, and even now my biomechanics is in such a way that I have to, go to the running room very often. I have to go and see my medical team very often because of my mechanics. But such a big lesson learned, and I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for this injury.
And do you still feel it when you run today?
From time to time. So I get a lot of tightness in the hip or in the knee or wherever. But it doesn't really bother me as such, because I know I've done the work and I've rehabbed correctly, and it's all good.
Amazing. Wow. Very, very strong, very tough man. I guess our last question, which maybe doesn't sound too unfamiliar to you, would be: you're on the start line of your next marathon, trying to qualify for Boston, and you're totally naked, but you can bring 3 things with you. What would your 3 things be?
Some half tights.
Yeah, nice.
Some racing shoes.
Yeah.
What you go for?
Oh, good question. TBC. I don't actually know yet. And a pair of sunglasses to hide the pain that I'm about to go.
And no watch, no nutrition?
I'm going to run on vibes. I feel like the nutrition, I'm going to have to trust the aid stations here. So let's hope it's like a Berlin or somewhere like.
You don't want it to be
pretty decent.
Paris Marathon where they gave you crackers on course?
Oh, no crackers. And what was it they give you at the end?
I think it was like fruit cake.
Yeah, they give you something
no, do you know what?
really strange at
The worst was in Valencia 2 years
Oh
ago.
my God,
They gave
broccoli.
you like uncooked
sad.
raw broccoli and then cans of boiled chicken.
I did
on the
that
finish
one.
line. It was.
Is someone just trying to like get rid of their shopping?
I genuinely think it was like the mayor of Valencia with a practical joke.
Crazy.
I'm doing Valencia this year.
So right.
So hopefully we do get
Yeah,
some
let us know what you get.
raw broccoli and canned chicken.
Good post race munch.
Yeah. So yeah, you're there. You're in your half tights. You're in your carbon shoes, and you've got your sunnies on.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Pretty speedy.
And pure vibes.
And then you're gonna get your sub 255, and you're gonna qualify for Boston. Nice. Well,
I might try it.
Andre, it's absolutely fantastic to chat to you. Thanks so much for sharing your story. And for someone who wants to join Mafia Moves, how can they find you? How can they get involved and come on a run with you guys?
Yeah, so on the socials, we're at Mafia Moves, or message myself, Andre Coggins, and we've also got a website, mafiamoves.co.uk.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I love that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Runna. If you want to train for any running goal, please download the app, and don't forget you can use the code Runna Podcast for a 2-week free trial.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, follow, do all of that nonsense, and we'll be back here next week. And if you want to be featured, send us your embarrassing running story. Either send us a voice note on Instagram or send us an email to podcast@runner.com so that we can have a good laugh at your expense in Runner HQ and share it on one of the next episodes.